Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life Stories Podcast, People Helping People. I'm Shara Goswick, your host. Today on the podcast, I chat with Mark Watkins, who started Operators Solutions Hub. If you are a fan of Chick-fil-A, like I am, and I'm not even talking about their food, I'm talking about their hospitality, their efficiency, the fact that you know you can walk into any Chick-fil-A and receive excellent service. This is a conversation for you. Mark started his company to help Chick-fil-A operators specifically to do all the things that we love about this company. I loved hearing the behind the scenes stories and the way he helps them out and what is important to Chick-fil-A and what is important to each of the operators. They all have a choice to run their store the way they want to, and it's amazing that they all have the same reputation. I loved hearing all of this, and I know you're going to love it too. Thank you for being here. How are
Good
you?
morning. Good.
Good. There are some storms moving through, and so I'm just praying the electricity doesn't go off. If it does, I will be right back on. I will either my phone or my laptop or something. I'll get back on. Hopefully, it's going to be okay. Well, I have been
Yeah.
looking forward to talking to you ever since I saw what you do because I don't know how many times I have thought or I have said or somebody I know has said we need to get Chick-fil-A to teach other companies how to run, how to be kind, how to be efficient, how to do all these things because they've got it going on. And I've been to not all over the country, but I've been to a lot of different ones and it's all the same. Everywhere it's
Yeah.
all the same. So what
Yeah.
you do is so important, but it affects a lot of people. And so I was
Right.
very, very excited. I've told multiple
Well, that's
people that I was going to talk to you and they said the same thing. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So
well,
tell
I'm excited
everybody
too.
what you do, and then let's talk about your company and what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of transitioning out of the store. And what I mean by that is I've been working in a Chick-fil-A for the last 6+ years. I'm currently in a executive director role in a multi-unit organization. So we
Mhm.
have two stores, and I oversee that team of about 180 team members and many leaders. And in my time with Chick-fil-A, I've just had this growing desire to take what I do locally in the organization where I am and um, go out into the chain and help other operators. Um, as you were mentioning earlier, the consistency of the brand really is one of the things that makes Chick-fil-A different. There's a lot of differentiators, but I think the consistent experience that
Mhm.
guests have, no matter where they are, is one of the things that Chick-fil-A holds in high regard. And when I first started working at Chick-fil-A, uh, I was an outsider. I'd never worked in restaurants at all. Worked in hospitality a little bit in college, but I was coming from corporate America and had a different mindset and really didn't understand fully the model of Chick-fil-A. And I became frustrated because I kept looking for resources and they weren't there.
Yeah.
And over time, what I realized is that um, Chick-fil-A really allows the local owner operator to run the business the way that they feel led and called and equipped to do. But the way I frame it is I think Chick-fil-A looks at really three things that are important to them. It's the guest experience. So they
Mhm.
want that consistency no matter where you go, and there's systems in place to ensure that. They want to make sure that we're serving safe food, it's hot, and you get it quickly. And
Mhm.
then the third thing I believe is just protecting the brand of Chick-fil-A. And there's so much that goes behind that. There's so many nuances to that. But beyond that, they really give Chick-fil-A operators the autonomy to run the business the way they feel is best for their community, for their team, and for their mindset and approach to business. And so a lot of the resources that we're looking to find, those are really in the operator's control, and there just weren't a lot of them. So I began developing these resources, and what I mean is like how to develop people, how to structure the organization, systems around implementing those three things that I mentioned. And I just began building this toolbox of resources that helped me. And so about a year and a half ago, I began more formally looking at how I can take those out to other operators. And
Yeah.
so in the fall of last year, I formed Operator Solutions Hub,
Mhm.
and I partner exclusively with Chick-fil-A operators just to help them elevate their team, kind of streamline their operations. It's not a one size fits all, and so while I'm a consulting service, I take a tailored approach. It's just grounded in my years of in-store leadership experience. But ultimately, what I want to do is help operators just customize systems for their needs, nurture their team that they have, and just drive that continuous improvement mindset that Chick-fil-A is known for, all the while equipping them, to do that with excellence. So one of the big words for me and what I do is impact. And so really what I want to do is empower operators to focus on what they do best
Yeah.
while amplifying the impact they have on their team, the guests, and the community.
It's amazing to me if each operator can run the store the way they want to, and they all are still, like I said, everyone that I've ever been to runs quickly, they're efficient. We get our
Yeah,
food hot and fast, and they're all so hospitable. So that's even more amazing that they can do it how
yeah.
they want, but they're still all the same
Yeah,
because you know
it's
what
the
to
same
expect.
standards, right?
Yeah, it
There's a
is.
standard that they're held to, and there's many paths to the summit. And as long as you get to that summit, it doesn't matter how you
Yeah.
get there. So,
So have you been asked by other companies to come and do what you do for them?
yeah, I have, and I have friends in other concepts
Yeah.
in hospitality, and we talk often. And th- you're not wrong. I think at the end of the day, when you're looking at building systems, growing and developing people, and just delivering service with excellence, that's a universal
Right.
desire in hospitality. Everybody wants that. And so
Sure.
I'm not trying to gatekeep anything that I have. I'm very
Yeah.
active on LinkedIn and um, am ramping up my presence there from the OSH standpoint. But certainly, a lot of what I offer to operators is adaptable and relevant to any hospitality context.
Yeah. So you um this little thing keeps popping up. The note taker. Um you were, at I read about your other jobs that you're doing before you started doing this, but you're clearly a problem solver. That's something that you're good
That's
at. You
right.
can see a problem and know how to fix it. But you've also worked in every aspect of a Chick-fil-A. So that's another
That's
thing
right.
that helps tremendously, right?
Yes, and I'm trying to position myself as a resource that does have that in-store
Yeah.
experience. And there's a lot of people in the consulting space, in the hospitality consulting space, in the coaching space. And while some of them do have experience in Chick-fil-A, I think the value that I'm trying to build with Operator Solutions Hub is the fact that, like you said, I've worked in every aspect of the store. I started in the kitchen, which is a tremendous obstacle to hurdle if you've never worked in a store before. But I
Yeah.
love learning and adapting, and took that on and just began exposing myself and worked in every role. Or, I haven't worked in a finance role, but I have people who report to me, and I have to hold them accountable and understand what they're doing. And so um, but despite all that, Chick-fil-A is an onion, and I think no matter how many layers I peel back, there's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
There's always something that I haven't seen before, and that's what I love about it, is that continuous challenge. But you're right, I am a problem solver, but my approach to it is understanding what other operators are facing and just
Yeah.
customizing those solutions for them.
That's awesome. What do you think the difference is? Because there is a very clear difference in going to Chick-fil-A and going to other fast food restaurants, not to name any of them, but why do you think this one has always run so well? And I know what y'all are doing and it's important that they're learning, but why is it so different than, uh, or is it not, is this kind of thing not offered to other fast food, you know what I mean, leaders? And
Yeah, I have a couple of ideas about that. One, I think the fact that the Cathy family, our founder Truett Cathy and his children and grandchildren, have remained at the helm. I think that keeping it in the family where their family values have been able to be advanced. It's a company that uh, I would say is grounded in biblical principles.
Hmm.
Second mile service is something that we lean on, although it's not unique to Chick-fil-A. It is one of our primary strategies for, with our guest experience. It's based on a passage from Matthew 5 in the Bible.
Hmm.
And the mission statement or the purpose statement of Chick-fil-A starts off with, this idea of wanting to glorify God in everything that we
Right.
do, and just being a good steward of everything that is entrusted to us, and making sure that we have a big impact on everybody that comes in contact with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And so that that approach to guest experience, I really think is a differentiator. And there's things that are different, from a facility standpoint with, the iPads for the order taking and
Right.
just the way things are executed internally for that experience. But it really comes down to just putting people first, people over profits, and understanding that everybody has a story and treating people the way that, we know
Yeah.
it in their heart they want to be treated, and looking for ways to exceed their expectations with regard
Yeah.
to the service. So,
I believe that. I believe that.
yeah.
What is something for somebody that has a team of people, whether it's fast food or anything else? What is something that a suggestion you could make or advice you could give to help encourage the leaders, help build a great team culture? I know it's probably not one thing, but if you could name something.
Yeah, what I tell young leaders who are struggling to um, get traction, I think anything that you do to build trust on the team is paramount. And to me, the key that unlocks that trust is relationships. And so, building strong relationships with your team, but also your peers as leaders, is critical, because no one will follow you or listen to you if they don't trust you.
Right.
And if they think that your primary focus is on the metrics, this productivity rate and this sales increase and this profitability and so on, they may follow you for a little while, but they realize at the end of the day you care more about that than them. And
Yeah.
so I believe relationships are key to that. I also like to bet on talent. I like to push people that are hungry to grow
Hmm.
into a new role a little earlier than they feel like they're ready, if I have confidence that they can handle it, because I believe that people will rise to the challenge, and they will perform in a way that they maybe been holding back with. And it builds confidence when they see the results, and just entrusting them with decisions that aren't mission critical, but give
Yeah.
them the ability to think critically and have success in their decisions or learn from a decision. I wrote an article that's on my website, and it talks about the idea of like a minimum viable solution. It's a concept from software, but really it's the idea that in a situation I may have a good solution, and I may normally think, oh, well, let's just do this. I know it's a good solution, but it doesn't really affect anything if we implement that idea or not. And passing that decision down to a leader where they can think through it, they can make a
Yeah.
decision about it. And then, okay, maybe it wasn't the best, maybe it wasn't the one I would have done, but it was a good decision
Yeah.
and or a good choice. And it builds confidence in them, helps them make critical thinking advancements in the way they look at things. So those are two things I believe: building trust with the team through
Yeah.
relationships, and really betting on leadership to give them confidence, grow their confidence as they want to progress.
That's awesome. What about setting goals? I saw that's one thing that you do is help them set goals. What are some
Yeah.
examples of some goals that you kind of look for? Maybe, maybe you go into each one or different stores and they all have different goals, different things that they need. What are some of the
Yeah.
examples of those?
I love helping teams set goals. The strategy that I've developed over time with my team is the one that I use with other operators, and I try to begin educating leaders on really why it's important to set goals. And I have this system that I call a HAS analysis. It stands for habits, actions, and systems. And to me, that's the big takeaway from the goal
Mhm.
setting. I'll even remind the team, hey, at the end of the day, if you don't hit the goal, it's not as important as the habits, actions, and systems that you created to trying to achieve the goal.
Yeah.
And so with a leader in a store, we'll sit down and brainstorm what would be a goal that would take you likely 12 months to attain. We want it to be attainable, but
Yeah.
we want it to be a challenge. And then what we'll do is take that and break it down into quarterly um, chunks. And we use the has analysis to kind of look forward into that quarter. Okay, what habits do I want to create with my team? What actions do I want to take towards this goal? And then are there systems that I can create or update that will help me reach that goal? And then at the end of the quarter, you go back and you look and you do that same thing and ask, what habits did I create? What actions did I take? What systems? And then we look at a different focus in the next quarter, apply the has analysis to it, and just begin marching through the year with that. And I did this recently at a retreat in January where we were looking back at the previous year. And then what I have them do is, okay, I want you to do a has analysis on your goal for the entire year for 2024. And we just sat there for 20, 30 minutes while each leader went around and just
Wow.
articulated and listed out everything they had done for the full year. At the end of the day, I could care less if they hit their goal. Listen to
Right.
the change of that happened to the leader. Listen to the change that happened to the team and for the organization. And in a Chick-fil-A in particular, each operator has store goals. And so I start
Mhm.
that session. Okay, here's your operator's goals. All right. We hear those. Here they are. It's usually profit, sales, and
Right.
customer metrics. All right, now, leader, here's the goal that you've articulated. How does that feed into the operator's goal where they begin to see the synergy that's created by each area leader creating goals and whether they get the goal or not? There's this saying, a rising tide lifts all ships. The
Hmm.
entire organization is better at the end of the year because
Right.
of that. So goal setting for me and the way that I approach it isn't necessarily like, hey, here's the target I want to hit it. It's
Right.
about making changes in the person and the team and the organization. Um, and at the end of the day, if they hit the goal, yeah, let's celebrate that. But it's kind of a Trojan horse to affect change in the
Yeah.
people and the team.
That can be applied to anything, to anybody
Yes,
in
it
any
can.
kind of, I
Yeah.
mean, because I'm
It
thinking, gosh, I should be doing that.
Yeah, it is very adaptable. It's generic on purpose, and I've done it for context outside of Chick-fil-A. You can do it for your own personal goals if you're trying to,
Sure.
work out more, change your diet, or learn a new skill. You
Yeah.
can develop that habits, actions, and system framework to adapt to that.
Yeah. I need to be thinking about that. So, as a consumer of Chick-fil-A, I walk in and I know what to expect. I'm going to get my delicious hot food quickly. Everybody's going to smile and be kind. But obviously, they have challenges just like
Yeah,
any other business does. So, what are some of the challenges that Chick-fil-A operators and places face?
yeah. There's quite a few actually that may not be evident to those looking from the outside in.
Yeah.
One of the things that I believe is a byproduct of our experience during the COVID pandemic
Mm,
is when there was a big pivot to drive through and the mobile app and just this service delivery, where the consumer is having the the product brought to them, so a lot of
right.
delivery type things, the guest expectation just continued to grow. So we're
Wow.
held to a high level of service. Guests
Yeah.
have a certain expectation of us, but we can't ever stop increasing the
Yeah.
service and the level of hospitality that we deliver because the guest continually expects more and more from us. And we're not upset about that. We just have to be creative in how we approach it. The second mile service is critical there because
Yeah.
that really does create a lot of goodwill with the guest. Chick-fil-A's current strategy to be the most caring company in the world is
Right.
to win moments with guests. And then when you win moments, you win their hearts. And when you win their hearts, then you've won them for the extended period of time. So I think that increasing guest expectation. Another one, especially for newer operators, is just growing the team, staffing, we're um, naturally getting higher caliber people coming to us, but we don't hire everybody who comes to us.
Yeah.
And I think trying to hold the line with the standard that that operator wants, culture fit is very important. While from the outside it looks like everything's consistent, every store has its own personality
Sure.
and unique culture, and ensuring that new hires are going to fit into that culture is really important. It's not always easy to discern that.
Yeah.
So we make some mistakes sometimes with hiring, but we have systems to quickly identify that. So I think one, getting in good, solid team members that align with the culture of Chick-fil-A and the values of the operator. And then beyond that, really just building a bench of leaders is always a challenge
Yeah.
because you can't ever really stop developing people because the team fluctuates. You lose people,
Right.
people advance, it opens up other opportunities. So I think developing the team and maintaining a strong staff is a big challenge.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I mean, it's little things. I don't think that there's a lot of other big factors really right now. The the supply chain, a lot of the cost to run a Chick-fil-A is increasing, and Chick-fil-A is not
Yeah.
increasing their prices. The demand to be more profitable, so doing more with less. So
Right.
expenses are increasing, but the prices aren't, and so that's going to make it harder to be profitable. And there's still a lot of levers we can pull to work on that, but being profitable is probably uh, I would say third place in my mind.
Yeah. What is is one thing that you have learned? I'm sure there's so much. One thing you've learned after working through with this company for so long.
Um, I said it earlier, and it's really that every life has a story.
Hmm.
I say this maybe not weekly, but certainly several times a month to somebody in a situation.
Yeah.
And, I'll say, hey, look, if you knew what I was carrying around, you would be weighed down. If
Right.
I knew what you were carrying around, we'd probably sit here and cry together. It's, it's everybody who comes to the store is dealing with something. And a
Right.
lot of people come to Chick-fil-A because of the experience they're going to get that just kind of maybe doesn't directly meet their need, but it comforts them.
Sure.
And it starts with the team, the person beside you, the person you're standing next to, literally, um, is going through something. And the way that we talk to people, the way we treat people, needs to be filtered through understanding like that person is maybe on the brink of breaking down in tears.
Right.
That person may be on the brink of committing suicide. That person may be struggling to stay in housing. Maybe they've lost somebody. There's just so many scenarios that we don't understand. And I think Chick-fil-A is opened my eyes to just seeing people that way, and really in situations where I'm trying to apply truth and hold
Yeah.
people accountable, balance that with grace. And the balance of grace and truth is something that's really come to the forefront for me as a leader, in a way that's affected the way I interact with my team and train my leaders to interact with the team as well.
That is so good. And that is definitely something that everybody should be doing, not just
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A operators. We should all be treating people
Yeah.
that way because it's true. Everything you said was so
Yeah.
true. Is there anything I haven't asked you about?
Yeah. I think, just from um, what I'm trying to do with Operator Solutions Hub, my experience with Chick-fil-A has allowed me to open five or six new Chick-fil-A's. Two of them were the one that I was working for, but they call them grand openings, and it lets you go to a new location. Chick-fil-A brings staff members from across the chain to that location to work with the operator to help train their team because they've effectively hired, 80,
Right.
100 people that don't know anything about Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And so the trainers spend anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks
Wow.
with the operator helping them train. But at the end of the day, let's call it 45 days in, the operator's by themselves.
Yeah.
And I just see a lot of operators really struggling to um, hit the goals that they have, to not overstretch and overwork themselves, to hold the brand standards and the expectation of the guests in this community that maybe not ever had a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I met with an operator 2 weeks ago who was the first in the market, and it's a completely different experience, but he's also very isolated. And so, what I want to do with Operator Solutions Hub is just partner with them, come along beside them, help them identify, prioritize their opportunities, and give them solutions. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing, which
Right.
is, you know, get to people through the platform of chicken and have an impact in the
Mhm.
community. And when you're burdened down with all the new things that happen with the new store,
Yeah.
it's difficult. And so that's really my primary focus. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and share some things with you and your audience.
Absolutely. I'm thankful. Do you travel all over the country to meet with other operators?
I'm beginning to.
Good.
So a strategy that I've am working on right now that I've executed once and have another one scheduled is what I call a connection visit.
Uh-huh.
So I'm identifying a city that has a pretty good population of Chick-fil-A's, and then reaching out to operators to set up opportunities to come by and just sit down face to face, hear their story, hear
Hmm.
about the challenges that they have for their store and their market, let them hear about my story, try to give them some insight as to what value I feel like I can add to what they're doing,
Yeah.
and just lean into where I feel like one of my strengths is, which is just that personal connection, building a rapport with people. I feel like Chick-fil-A has a very high standard, and so there's a
Hmm.
lot of hesitation to engage with people that are soliciting you for business. But I'm trying to um, ensure them, of my authenticity and the value of my experience, and that I truly am trying to partner with them. And so these connection visits are very targeted.
Yeah.
So I'm going to begin. I've got another one in 2 weeks. I'll be going to Houston and doing that same
Awesome.
thing. And I'm just identifying cities where I can get um, probably the most bang for my buck. If I'm going to
Yeah.
travel somewhere, try to hit
Yeah.
as many opportunities as I can, but just begin having those sit down face to face conversations with people and
Sure.
letting that be the way that they can get to know me.
That's great. I mean, it's wonderful for those operators. I appreciate you so much talking to me. This has been wonderful, and I'm excited to share
Thank
with
you.
everybody. And um, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm sure. I hope you have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
evening.
You as well. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye bye.